It is if, we talked about this yesterday, the day before, so we've been talking about it for a minute now. And now all of a sudden, the Vikings conversation has come up in the last week or so. And I said yesterday, I didn't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers going there as long as Kevin O'Connell and the staff have a strong understanding of what J.J. McCarthy is. And I'm not talking about his ability to play the position, but his ability to stay healthy, be healthy, and ready to go. If this is a setback situation where all of a sudden you look up and they're in training camp and he's missing days and things of that nature, then it probably wasn't a good move. But I'm going to trust their judgment on this about his health moving forward, because I wouldn't pass on a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, winning quarterback that started to come around last year some, as I would say, last 5 or 6 games, started to play a certain way. If I had the desire to win a championship and I knew that he is a championship-type winning quarterback when things are all right with those 2 wide receivers, unless J.J. McCarthy is ready to go. Otherwise, bye-bye, Aaron Rodgers.
Michael,
Yeah.
my move?
I love that they at least made a statement. We've been up here talking for a few days about the opportunity Aaron Rodgers has to go and play for the Vikings, and it's all we talk about, and we think about it from that perspective. But there's that the other perspective of J.J. McCarthy, who's sitting back, rehabbing, trying to get ready, and in his mind trying to gain his confidence. So I love that they made a statement. We're no longer interested in any way in Aaron Rodgers, because I'm extrapolating that to also mean that J.J. McCarthy would be sitting back saying, oh, that means, oh, now they're putting everything and they're putting their faith in me. And I can start training and rehabbing and thinking about getting ready instead of thinking about, well, is Aaron Rodgers going to be here? Am I even going to play this year? How hard should I push to get ready? Do I have more time? Do I need to get myself? All of those things. So, yes, I am absolutely happy that not only they got out of it, that they made a statement that they're out of it, and they should have sung longer and harder and better when they made that statement. Say it louder so you can raise up his confidence.
Say it loud.
Originally, I thought it was the right move to move on, but the more and more I thought about it, Joy Key and Playmaker, I think it was the wrong move because, listen, they won 14 games with Sam Darnold. So that tells me they're closer to being in Super Bowl contention than not being in Super Bowl contention. And you add an Aaron Rodgers to that now, to that mix, it's a high risk, high reward. That's what it was. And I think you keep the door open until he officially says no, or both sides can't come to an agreement. So I do think it was a mistake. Now, if you bring in your young quarterback, I think that's a setback as far as Super Bowl aspirations now. Do they even make the playoffs next year? I don't know. The talent is there. But if you add Rodgers, like I said, it was a high-risk, high-reward move.
Yeah, but not just a move that will pay dividends now. You seeing on the high-risk side and high-reward side that, okay, you win a Super Bowl, which, saw what Aaron Rodgers played like last year, and you win a Super Bowl and you won. But, okay, what if you even win the Super Bowl and he leaves, and what kind of tutor did he do tutoring the young quarterback? You see what I mean? Because he's going to have to leave sooner or later. Yeah. So I want to win now, but I want to prepare for later. That's what an NFL team must do. You got to win now, but prepare for later. And getting J.J. McCarthy right and getting him ready to play is part of the situation in Minnesota.
But 1 year under a 4-time All-MVP Hall of Famer, you saw how Sam Darnold carried himself. I'm sure he's a complete professional. But now you get to see what the next levels, there's levels to it. You can, just having him talking to him. Like me, that benefited me, having guys in the locker room who I admired and talked to that was there before me and kind of showed me a path. So I think that's important.
Joy, do you think that Aaron Rodgers courted Minnesota, or was Minnesota courting him, and he initially opened up the door for the conversation that he would like to join the Vikings? Because that's what I think. I
do too. And I think through Brett Favre and all of that little whatever workaround, I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And they said, okay, we'll think about it. And then they came to the realization that's probably not the way.
And I'm glad you said that, because thinking about J.J. McCarthy from that perspective, because Minnesota has to do what they have to do to check every avenue to win a championship, like Paul's talking about, and that makes it different. If, okay, Aaron and whoever he has, Brett, calling them, than thinking, oh, you guys don't believe in me and you're calling around. So I'm glad you made that distinction.
Yeah. And then they remembered that Sam Darnold was way better than Aaron Rodgers last year.
Right.
So,
You think they watched the last
right.
5 games of each one of them from a year ago?
17 games in the season.
Right.
So
Right.
they counted the other 12 and were like, nah.
Not just throwing the ball. Better probably with JJ. Hey, man, you're going to be here. You're gonna
Well,
get that, man. It's
I mean,
gonna be
I
your
just didn't
job.
understand the concept of him going there in the first place from a multitude of reasons. One, you're just going to do the exact same thing that Brett Favre did in his career. You're just going to have
Following
the
Brett.
exact same career.
Now, Brett went to the NFC Championship
correct.
game, though.
Right. So you're going to put
He has
yourself
a
in a
chance
position
with that
where
team.
you're just going to go, you're going to have the exact same path. I should
Yes.
say that. It's the exact same
Right.
path. And then put yourself in a position where if you don't do what Brett Favre did, then you're just like, what are you, the junior version of Brett Favre? It's weird to me, one, from a just narrative standpoint.
So
Two, if you were going to move on from Sam Darnold, why would you move on from Sam Darnold to Aaron Rodgers? Sam Darnold had a ton of success with you last year. Just pay him if you wanted to try and run it back another year.
Yeah.
Overpay him, keep him for another year, let J.J. McCarthy come along, and then you move to him in the third year. That's more reasonable to me than going to Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be a backup. He's never showed the ability to be a mentor. We know he's not the leadership
He
type.
said he's going to be a mentor.
Okay, one more time. He has never shown the ability to be a mentor. I don't care what comes out of someone's mouth. What do you do? That talking stuff is for other people. I am not sold. I need to see the bill of goods and then assess it. Okay, now I believe it because we've seen none of that.
The way Joy talking right now made me feel like I just came home and she got the phone call from the principal and she's talking to me now. It's like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay.
I already have the answers. It's all about what you're going to say. No, and he's not going to be cool with him going there and it starts for a few games. Let me just paint the scenario. J.J. McCarthy's healthy. He has an amazing preseason, right? But you've already brought Aaron Rodgers in. Now, what do? Well, we got Aaron Rodgers here, so we got to start him at the beginning of the season. He has a couple bad games. Now you want to bring J.J. McCarthy in. Aaron's just going to be like, it's the end of my career. I understand. It's the young guy's time.
Well, he wanted to give Tyrod Taylor a shot last year.
Right, when he quit at the end of the year.
After the
This
season
whole
was
thing never
done.
made any sense to me. I think it's the right thing for them to go all in with J.J. McCarthy. Now, you have to be patient. And, Paul, you're right. They're not in the Super Bowl conversation with a rookie quarterback who's coming off of injury. They're going to be taking a step back. But when you're in
I don't know about that anymore. We may have been saying those same things about Washington last year, is what I'm saying.
Well,
That's all.
look, hopefully he has an unbelievable rookie season.
Right.
But he is not coming straight from college healthy. He's spent a year coming off of injury, so he wasn't, developing during that time, and he's getting whole now. So he's gonna have to learn the system and all those things. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they start a little slow. Yeah. Not to mention that the division is very, very tough. So, he could be up against it this year. I think they're excited about J.J. McCarthy for a reason. They were excited about him last year. So the Rodgers move just never made any sense to me.
Yeah, but that hope, as we talk about it, what Jaden Daniels have done for guys like this, because now I guarantee you, there's like, hey, Washington did it.
Well, not just Washington.
Maybe we can jump off and get going.
Not just any of those
C.J.
teams.
Stroud had that
C.J.
kind
Stroud
of season.
did it. Joe
You see
Burrow
what I
did
mean?
it.
Yeah, so this is the new league.
I don't know that J.J. McCarthy's going to do it, though, but who knows?
That's what we're gonna do now.
We just talked about the team he has around him. We know the coach is very good.
Yeah.
He has an offense, and he has Justin Jefferson, the best receiver, right? Yeah.
He got them cats with full beards, though. He don't got
chasing
them.
him.
They don't got them.
They
don't got
chasing
them
him.
on the O-line yet.
They chasing
need
him. Them grown men.
Yeah,
This ain't Purdue.
I'm not jumping to C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels being the new standard for rookie quarterbacks. I know that a lot of people are going to do that. I'm going to remain a little more rational. I think it's very difficult, and those two are extreme outliers. And Jaden Daniels might be the biggest outlier of all.
But in the right situation, as I've always said, young quarterbacks, and I'm still calling him a rookie because he hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
The right situations and circumstances and the surroundings will make the success.
Correct. And no
matter who you are, if you in the right situation and you can play, just check Russell Wilson's box as a rookie. Check Mark Sanchez's box as a rookie. He did what the coaches allowed him to do and what he needed to do to get them to the next step. This is the type of team. Minnesota has that type of team.
Right.
They got a veteran defense.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to consider it to be a disappointment, nor will I think it was a mistake for them to not get Aaron Rodgers just because.
No, but I'm just saying.
But this team also has that understanding because they've had success with different quarterbacks. Justin Jefferson has success with everybody you put back there. You see what I mean? They have that confidence that, oh, yeah, nobody expected Sam Darnold to win 14 games last year.
Don't raise your hand.
Fight on.
No, you didn't. No.
Fight on.
Nobody expected
Nobody saw that.
14 games last year. Right.
He did say that he was going to be good.
Right, he's going to be good because Kirk Cousins was good.
I don't know if
everybody is good at playing quarterback in that team.
I can't put a count
kind of like San Fran.
I can't put a number count on the wins, but I knew Sam was going to look different than what he did with the New York Jets.
Right.
That I did.
Say that.
Right.
You did
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that bar was pretty low. But we'll give you credit for that.
Down there near the socks.
With the Vikings solidifying their starting quarterback, that leaves 41-year-old Rodgers with only two possible destinations. So, Paul, should Rodgers sign with the Giants or the Steelers?
If my back's against the wall and I had to choose.
If your life depended on it.
My life depended on it. Well, all right, this is how I look at it. Like, Pittsburgh seems like the obvious choice because you could probably make the playoffs and you give yourself one last stand. And then if you go by what you say, play a mentorship role, he can go to the Giants, who's not going to win too many games. They draft Shador. You can help him with his transition. So it's whatever he wants, actually. But for me, I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers makes the most sense. They signed DK. They gave you another weapon out there with Pickens. So I think just moving forward, giving him one last shot, giving him one more Hail Mary try at a Super Bowl, it'll be in Pittsburgh. I
just think it should be the Steelers. I don't know why it's dragging out at this point. The Giants are a terrible choice for him optically. They're not super talented. Right. Everyone in the organization is on the hot seat. If you go to the Giants and ruin them, you've ruined two New York football teams, and that's how you're exiting the NFL?
That would be a mentorship program.
No, thank you. No, thank you. It's the Steelers, and that's the only real option.
The new king of New York.
Yeah, exactly. the headlines write themselves. You don't want any part of that. The Steelers it would have to be pretty devastating for you to make the Steelers worse. So at best, they're going to be a 500 team, and then you have the opportunity to make the playoffs. And to your point, right off into the sunset with some, some dignity, some type of table reset. And the last thing that we remember is not the Jets. But the last thing we remember of Aaron Rodgers is not going to be the Jets. When we sing his praises, we're going to talk about how he improved for the last 5 weeks of the season. We're not going to talk about the Jets. We're going to talk about his time with Green Bay. We're going to talk about his Super Bowl. We're going to talk about his 4 MVPs. We're going to talk about his insane ability. That's what we do with legends. This chapter, I think, will be something that we overlook. But going to the Giants and messing up with the Giants will give it a little bit more permanency.
Yeah. That's what we do when they retire. But at the end, boy, we be cutting them up. We cut them up on the end when it's looking like it looks right. Now, for me, guys, listen, I told you earlier, I wanted him to go to Pittsburgh, and I wanted him to I was offering him bring some of his offense to Pittsburgh. But now, with Cam, with that bearded dude, saying, hey, man, we sick of that crap. I'm saying that may be off the table. And I was thinking from a perspective of let me help Aaron Rodgers get to a place, the new Aaron Rodgers. Now what I'm feeling like is it's still really the old Aaron Rodgers. So I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe go back to New York. At least in New York, I can be assured that the Cowboys won't be last in the NFC
okay.
East.
So this is
Yes.
we
Go tear that team up, and at least we'll be third if all else fails. You see what I mean? So go back. I don't want you killing Pittsburgh.
Are we sure that the Giants really want him because they're bringing in Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
They bringing in Jameis Winston. So are we even sure that the Giants are sold on Aaron Rodgers to the point where they're like, okay, we want Aaron Rodgers because they done brought in a number of quarterbacks. But he should, if he can, sign with Pittsburgh, just get it done already. Be done with it and move on if that's the case. Because what's happening in these situations, and I'm not even 100% sure that the Pittsburgh Steelers are all in. And I mean by Steelers, I'm talking about the team, players that are on the team. You saw what Cam said, right?
Right.
a week before in the introductory press conference to DK simply said, this is an historic organization. They've done the recruiting before I even got here. So whoever wants to come in here and try to win as many games as we can, then cool. But if not, good luck on the other side. That came from DK a week ago.
Well.
And they had already started recruiting Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I'm going to back the thing up.
Shout out, right.
I'm going to back it up a week and let you read and hear a little bit about DK. Now I'm going to bring it forward with Cam. So are we even sure that it's a good fit inside the locker room? Is it even a good fit?
I mean, we don't know, but they put themselves in this position. They had two guys in the locker room, and they let them leave the locker room, and Russ and Justin Fields. So,
and I was okay with that. I was okay with that because, as I said, Aaron can bring another perspective. This time, I want his input. I just want it on helping that offense get out of the staleness that it has had and bring into just a little bit of it's so antiquated right now. Just bring it into.
But is Arthur Smith, who's the offensive coordinator, willing to allow Aaron Rodgers or whoever the quarterback is going to be?
But not whoever, because he didn't let Russell do it last year. And I'm sure Russ has abilities, but Russ didn't have the confidence because they hadn't knocked that out of him in Denver. You see what I'm saying? So he didn't come in saying, I want to put things in. See, Aaron Rodgers, he will still have that, and he'll try to put some things in.
But will Arthur Smith be receptive to allowing him to engage? He's an offensive coordinator. Right. You know how they want to run their system and do their things the way that they want to because he wants to be a head coach again. I don't know why, because I wouldn't even be coaching football if I was him. I'd be doing something totally different.
Yeah.
You know.
Dad got a lot of money.
I didn't want to say that, but I'll be doing something totally different.
Sign Rodgers or not, they might still want to draft a quarterback. Pittsburgh has the 21st overall pick and reportedly met with Jalen Milroe ahead of his pro day today in Alabama. It's only been 3 seasons since the Steelers took Kenny Pickett's 20th overall. Paul, do you think the Steelers need to draft a quarterback?
I mean, at this point, I think it's never a bad idea to draft a quarterback. You never know what kind of diamonds in the rough are out there. Mm-hmm. You know, when you think about the great quarterbacks who've gone late in the draft, I mean, all out the GOAT. Tom Brady, Purdy. You look at guys like Purdy. So you always want to take a chance on that, especially with their QB situation looking the way it's looking right now. I mean, who they have now? You got Mason Rudolph over there, who, you know, he's not a starting really caliber quarterback. So I think there's always a need to go ahead and draft a quarterback, especially in this situation. And they really need one, so you never know what they can find out there.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a first-round pick. I think you should probably draft a quarterback every year or every other year, depending on what your quarterback situation looks like. But you never know, and they can always be a trade piece. You want to have a solid backup. They don't even have a solid starter. So there's definitely some options out there. I know that for the most part, the top of the draft is not quarterback heavy this year. And perhaps it will be next year, but you don't know where you're going to be drafting. So I think that they should take a quarterback in the draft.
They should always, every single year, you should, even if you don't draft them, you get an undrafted free agent quarterback. You should always sign a quarterback every single year because, like Paul is saying, you just never really know. And especially with Jalen Milroe is more like the quarterbacks today and less of the quarterback of Tom Brady and Joe Flacco. The league is going in this, well, they've already gone in that direction several years ago, but you got this type of guy. He is he's the kind of the next potential, you know, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, that can put the ball on the ground and still be able to rip it and zip it all day long. So, of course, you want to sit down and pick his brain and talk to him a little bit, have some food with him, and figure out where he's at as a quarterback before you pull the trigger. And they're going to do that, I'm pretty sure, at every single stop as they go on these tours for these pro days to figure out who's who, because you never know. At the end of the day, the draft is one of the biggest wild cards, man. Yeah. We think certain players going here.
Especially at the quarterback position.
And all of a sudden, you look up and you're like, oh, my God, he's still on the board? And now you start moving up and moving around to go get him, so you just never know.
Because they're young men, and they're still developing and coming into this game, you know, and absolutely, this is why you are in this desperate situation, and you have been in this desperate situation, Pittsburgh Steelers I'm talking about, since Ben Roethlisberger, because you never put together a succession plan then.
No, they had my man from Oklahoma State. What was his name? Brandon Wheaton.
As Michael was saying.
Right. Yeah, I like
They did
Brandon.
not
I like
prepare
Brandon, but
the
they
next
didn't have-
chapter of the organization appropriately.
Right, they did not. And this time now, you've been in this situation, and we've given Mike credit for holding on and not having losing seasons. But it's time now to put a plan together and stop hoping to pick something out the sky that's going to work like they've done the last few years. So, yes, go and draft. And I like that they work with Milroe.
I wonder why they can't get the quarterback position right.
Well, they had it right for many years, but to Michael's point, for a
lot
number
of people
reasons,
can't get the quarterback right, though.
Right.
Yeah, but they did not invest earnestly in a replacement for Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
But that was 10 years ago.
That wasn't that long ago,
and
he was creeping towards the end of his career for several years.
No, that's what
they
I'm
had
saying,
an
Joy.
opportunity.
And I
to bring
agreed
someone
with
in.
the decision to let him play it out. I didn't mind because he had earned it. He had earned that.
One thing, but
not
was
sitting somebody behind him.
There was no succession
That's why I
plan on
said
purpose.
that's 10 years. Ben Roethlisberger, we've been having the same conversation about
We're saying
them
the same
10 years.
thing. That's why they're here.
And
because
I was
10 years
asking
ago.
Joey,
Right.
because you don't look anything like Joey. I was asking
okay.
Joey,
Yeah,
why does Pittsburgh find themselves in this situation? Like, how do you get it wrong?
First of all, that's my uncle. Second, because there was a lot of dynamics in the building with Ben Roethlisberger. There was a lot of egos going on. They didn't want to disrupt it. And he wanted to finish his career, which I have no problem with them doing. But, you know, once you know that you're in the last years of your career, they needed to bring somebody in to pick up after him, and they didn't do it.
But that's what all great franchises do. Whether you San Francisco and there's a Joe Montana that they looking at and they going, we got a Steve Young sitting here.
But
that's what they do.
But it's not always what they do. You can see it. It happens all the time. Great quarterbacks don't want other great quarterbacks sitting behind. Tom Brady, the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, remember all of that? When they tried to move Jimmy Garoppolo in the year early, all of a sudden, Jimmy, you got to go.
Right. But they peeped that they need, Bill Belichick peeped that he at some point, he wanted to move on from him.
So Bill was doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why the Steelers can't do that?
For the same reason they didn't do it with Tom. Because he didn't want him there.
Right.
They didn't even go get one to even have that conversation.
But Tom proved up the right. Tom proved up the right by winning a Super Bowl and then leaving and going to win another Super Bowl.
Right.
So he won one there and then left and went and got another one. So Tom proved up the right.
He might have got two after Jimmy.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It doesn't always work out that way.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.